There is quite a remarkable television series, that's been put out in recent years called The Chosen. Anyone familiar? Anyone watched a few of the episodes? Yeah, it's a really remarkable story. Crowdsourced, so the crowdfunded, the creator wanted to tell the story of Jesus, tell the story of the Gospels and the Apostles, and really flesh it out and dramatize these stories, and without a kind of major network or production company behind it. And so they rely on donations, and the content is available for free. I encourage you to take a look on your mobile device. I think it's the easiest way to watch it, but it's available online as well. It does a great job of giving the humanity of the apostles and making real the experiences that we read about in the Gospels and can sometimes be kind of over-familiar and over-spiritualized and forget the humanity, the reality of what was happening and what might have been happening in the apostles' lives. I love the depiction of Matthew very early in the series. Matthew's shown as kind of very, very fussy, he's immaculately dressed, and he gets some mud on his sandals. He goes home, opens the cupboard, and he has the same sandal, like 8 different pairs of the same sandals, perfectly aligned. This shows, a real kind of humanity that we might not see in the scriptures. I watched the scene that we read in our gospel. I rewatched it just recently. And again, there's a beautiful, it's kind of fictionalized, but it contributes to understanding the significance of this miraculous catch of fish in Peter's life. So in The Chosen, Peter is shown as being drowning in debt. He and his brother Andrew have just not been able to pay their bills. They have enormous tax debt, and they've not had success fishing, and they're worried about losing their home, worried about providing for their children, for their wives, losing their livelihood, having the boats sort of confiscated. And this desperation, this feeling of not being enough, not doing enough, leads Peter to make some bad decisions. He's kind of desperate. He's fishing at night. He's fishing on the Sabbath. He's breaking the rules to try out of desperation to take care of his family. And so it's in this context, after a night of fruitless fishing, that Jesus enters the sea. And I think we can pause there for a moment and just consider the ways in which we may relate to that characterization of Peter. The ways in which we can feel a similar desperation, and a similar sense of not being enough. Maybe it is with money. Many of us do have significant debt and worries about the future and our financial security. Many of us struggle with a sense of having enough, having what it takes at work, in our professional lives, in our careers. It's so common to struggle in our family lives, to feel a sense of falling short, not being good enough as a parent, as a spouse, in our other relationships. We can at times be overwhelmed with a sense of not being enough, not having what it takes. It's in these places that Jesus enters in. It's precisely here that Jesus desires to be close to us and desires to care for us, to comfort us. There's another aspect to the portrayal in The Chosen of the scene that really stands out to me, and that is Jesus' joy. That as he's kind of guiding Peter along, step by step, just set out your nets once again. Yeah, okay, sure, carpenter. I've been fishing all night, we've been unsuccessful. Yeah, I'll put my nets out again. Jesus is a kind of lightheartedness. He doesn't minimize the seriousness, but Jesus enters in with a real joy. And then as Peter realizes what is happening, and the nets are filled, and the boats are nearly sinking, there's just this smile on Jesus' face. That he delights in Peter in this place of need. It's not a burden. He's not sort of begrudgingly helping Peter. He delights in it. He takes joy in it. In the same way, he takes joy in blessing us. He takes joy in meeting us in our place of need and taking care of us. It is his delight to be close to us in these places. After a number of years in seminary, I had a real sense of being called to seminary. I felt confident in that decision. But as I was coming closer to ordination, I started to experience some real doubts. I think I had the sense that, after 4 or 6 years of seminary, I'd be, finished. I'd be ready. I'd have the sense of, I'm worthy now to be a priest. And that was not my experience. I had a real sense that I wasn't ready, that I needed more time. I wish that I could get my life a little bit more together before I was ordained. The Archbishop has a meeting with each of the guys before they're ordained, and I thought it was just a little friendly, check in and meet and greet kind of thing. And he did a little pop quiz, kind of a cumulative exam almost. Remember, he asked, what are the 3 primary sources of in Scripture for the doctrine of papal primacy? I was like, I do not know. I'm not sure I can come up with one. Please still ordain me. But I remember expressing to the Archbishop in that meeting that I had these doubts, the sense of not being ready, not being worthy. And the Archbishop responded, he said, we all feel this way. And of course, we're not worthy, and yet he calls us, and so we get to work. We can perhaps have an experience of the Lord's presence in our lives, and then pull back. It can feel like too much. It can feel like, no, Lord, if you really knew me, you wouldn't want to be close to me. You wouldn't be asking this of me. We see this so beautifully depicted in both our first reading and in the Gospel. The immediate response of Peter. First, he's kind of skeptical and dismissive of Jesus, but then when he sees this miraculous catch, his first reaction is, depart from me. Go away. If you knew me, you wouldn't really be interested in having me follow him. And same in our first reading, this beautiful image that Isaiah recounts of seeing this vision of the Lord in all his glory in the temple. And his first reaction is, I'm unworthy. I'm a man of unclean lips. I'm an unclean people. And what a powerful image where the angel takes the coal from the altar and brings and touches Isaiah's lips. The very place where he feels unclean, unworthy. That very place the angel, the Lord, touches. It's reminiscent also of a kiss, of an embrace. That in this place of inadequacy, of feeling unworthy, unclean, whatever it is, falling short, that is precisely the place the Lord wishes to touch, to embrace, to be near to us. Jesus cares for us. He cares for you. He cares for each of you in your context, in your struggles, in your worries, in our sense of falling short and not being enough. He cares in precisely these places. As we come forward for communion today, or for a blessing, let us bring with us this specific place. If something's come up for you as we've reflected on this morning, let us come with this intention to receive the Lord. He touches our lips and meets us in these places of worry, these places of suffering, these places of loneliness.